Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to EXFL, where in Tier 1 we are in Singapore tonight for a 31 lap race. Yeah, I'm back again. 9 people, gotta be a new record somewhere, but, well, I mean, the game's dead, what else can you expect, right? Who's our first driver who's going to be closest to starting lap? Well, it will be Evan, who's coming back after a few-week hiatus back in the Alpine. Still yet to score a point this season. Currently finds himself 20th in the driver's standings. As it stands, he is shooting up to 17th. As he is currently P8 in qualifying, as all drivers who even chose to show up are guaranteed points, so wouldn't you know it. As for the first time in a while, we have permutations that we have to go over, as we'll just let Evan's lap carry on in the background. So the permutation here is 6 races left so far, just before this Grand Prix. There'll be 5 after this race, so that means there'll be 125 points left after Singapore. So far the top 3 in the championship are separated by 119 points, which literally means that if by some miracle Danny and Jaden both retire this race, it'll be match point for the championship next round, as the gap from first to second is already 99 points and the gap after this race will be 125. As we go over to the constructors standings, out of the title race, if they fail to score any meaningful points, which none of their drivers are in the standings, we will say goodbye to Sauber in the constructors fight, and after today we could also be saying goodbye to Ferrari, Mercedes and Alpine, as Evan comes across the penultimate corner. Let's just fit to see what his lap is. Not much battery burn, so it might have just been a prep lap. Up to the line is a 29.2 for the Alpine, as they'll be red across the line next. Podium last week, and he does go 2/10 quicker than Evan. Obviously, just to recap last week's standings, if I can just see who go on to the next person's on board. Last week, James, as always, has won the race, as Frankie goes a bit deep into the penultimate corner. Obviously joined me for commentary around midpoint of last week, but yeah, one of the 3 podium sitters from last week not present today. Chris, last week's second place, had a very interesting fight towards the end at what was a wet Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Saw a Mercedes 2-3 with the points for Chris obviously going to his team, Racing Bulls. Only 7 finishes, so that can tell you a lot about what might happen today. Danny goes a 10th quicker than Red, as I am reading out the last week's race results. Who'll be the next person across the line? I mean, Jaden crossed the line. He set a 28 flat, so we will quickly just check the interval. Oh, is Evan a bit dodgy into the pit lane? Although I doubt anyone will care, as there's yellows. It's Red slowing down on the back straight. So I've gone over permutations, I've gone over standings, I've gone over race results. Might just be better off focusing on quali, as well, is this really a surprise? I look away from 1 second and it's the same person up front yet again. It's getting quite boring at this point. We are back to the permutation standpoint. If by some chance, let me just check what the yellow flag is for. I'm assuming just people going to the pit lane. Yeah, literally, probably not going to happen, but if second and third retire from the race today, the gap from James to Dan in second will be 124 points, which will mean that next round, which I believe, let me just check. Next round, which is the Las Vegas Grand Prix, we could potentially see JJ crowned as not only a one-time champion, he already is a two-time champion, a three-time EXFL champion, going one step closer to the record, which I believe is held both by Red Fire Tiger and the Fake TB, 4 titles each. Don't quote me on that. And he's only been in the league for the same amount of years he's won the title. Someone get this bloke in an esports seat. But yeah, we will focus on Frankie, obviously one of 2 drivers actually participating to have not set a lap. So let's just see the Aston Martin and how he gets along. We are now, with this race, we are 2/3 of the way through, looking at the calendar, a street race triple header. So round 15, still 5 races to go, so I'd be lying if I said they'll be all to play for, but really all has been played for and all has been taken. So if I'm able to just go back on, I can't. But Frankie has invalidated and he has half spun on the way to the Anderson Bridge. Yeah. Oh! Clip that one, as that was a quite aggressive slide into the barrier. Let's just analyse a few extra laps. Red on his lap now is a 26.2, so a 10th up in his first sector. As it stands, that does put him up into P2, but don't forget, Dan in P2 is also on the lap, but you know, we'll compare his sector lap time when he gets to it. So it was a 26.2 to what will Danny set? A 26.3. It is still an improvement, but it's not as major as the one shown by the Mercedes. Down through the Anderson Bridge, opening the rear flap into the second sector split. It's a 3/10 gain now for Red Fire Tiger, as we've got a yellow flag. That is James slowing down for his flying lap. Hopefully that doesn't impede the lap of the Mercedes. We will have to, this will be pretty neck and neck. Red Fire Tiger up to the line. He goes P2, just a 10th off pole, and Danny, the gap is still around 1.5 tenths improvement of his main lap. So as it stands, he will improve his time, but not the position. Jaden on his lap as well. He couldn't manage to grasp his sector times, but up to the line, Danny. What is it? It is an improvement of 2 tenths, but not an improvement of position, so he stays in P3. As the McLaren now rounding the penultimate corners, flat through the final triple apex, and It's a improvement. It's the fastest per final sector, but it's still 4th, as he is still 6 tenths behind pole sitter so far. So I assume all drivers will be pitting, or yep, so red is in the pit lane. I assume Danny will be pitting as well, so will Jaden. Let me get a little bit of a sippy sip. So 5 minutes to go in this quali. Danny has run out of fuel on his way to the pit lane. He'll make it with, you know, ample speed to carry him. But yeah, I checked the forecast. I don't see any rain, so last week may have just been a one-off for the drivers tonight. 31 laps, a very challenging circuit. Obviously last year in real Formula 1 was won by George Russell, who always seems to like appear out of nowhere just to capitalize off other people's, I say misfortunes, but if we don't forget 2023, he had some misfortune around here. Well, it was less misfortune and more something what you call a skill issue, bottling P3 on the final lap. Obviously I know a lot about bottling, however that's not what we're talking about here, as we might be seeing the Ferrari out. That is the Ferrari of Samuel Drake Lee, who has taken the past few races AWOL. Honestly, at the state of the game, I do not blame him. So upon his return, can the Ferrari driver stir anything in the top 5 here? Could he potentially improve to a second row or even a front row start, or can he do the impossible and slam pole position? We will follow upon his lap, as he'll be the first by a long shot to start his oh shit. Right, here we are, final 2 minutes of qualifying here at Marina Bay. Is it Marina Bay? I think it is. So we will start with Samuel Drake Lee. Will he be able to put his Ferrari anywhere meaningful? Honestly, I couldn't even name. Oh, and he's invalidated already. Oh, what a shame. Is he able to go? I think he's able to go around to get another one. I'm not sure his fuel might be a big fan of that, so we might, whoever is the next to start their flying lap, it will be Evan, and currently he is 1.2 seconds off the car in front. Could that gap go down anywhere to within a second? As we have anyway, scratch the phone. Into the sector 1 split here for Evan, 5/10 up on his improvements, so that might be an indicator that his current fastest lap on the board was not to peak of his performance, and we can see more lap preparation, bit of a counter to the car there through the as there's yellow flags, and that's Frankie in the wall, but we can't really focus on that. We need to go back to Evan's lap here. Will he be able to improve to P5 or anywhere, or will he? Can he? Is the more important question. A second up through the first 2 sectors. So tell you what, he could actually do something to upset some of the front runners here, as Turbo wasn't able to set a lap, so he will be the first driver to collect the checkered flag relay. Through the final sequence of corners, bit of a wobble from the rear, Evan up to the line. It's a very good improvement, 1.1 seconds, but it's not enough to upgrade in position. He will stay P6, and I think he will start P6 because Frankie wasn't able to get a lap around. Redfire Tiger up to the line. What can he do? He can't upgrade his lap time, very close to his base, but it's still P2. Jaden here, I think that's 5/10 up. There's yellow flags. That's Danny spun, I think. Up to the line for Jaden. Jaden stays 4th. Samuel Drake Lee has invalidated, but yeah, Danny isn't able to improve. So once again, without any shock, it's JG on pole. Although, will he do any more improvement here, or is he just going to, well, whatever it is, he's got pole up to the line. It's another improvement for the Williams, and just like last week, and just like every week before that, for God knows how long, it's JJ on pole again.
Sorry? No, don't do that. What good would that do? We can't do anything to the car, and we have a race to get on with. Do not try to come in, just form up on the grid, okay?
As right. As we wait for the drivers to pan around. Genuine, I'm so bad. I might generally cause a safety car here. I'm being completely dead serious. Gotta hope for the best, I guess. I mean, the drivers have lined up. Let's just check a cheeky race director. All but one on the mediums. So, everyone going for softer to harder. Or they could do a two-stop here. Anyway, not my decision. 5 red lights in the Singaporean nighttime. Turbo's got a drive-through. It's lights out and away we go for the backwards-looking Singaporean Grand Prix. I genuinely can't tell what's going on. I'm presuming JJ has kept the lead into turn 1. I'm going to try and be very conservative, not to absolutely smash into a wall. As there is contact up ahead of me, and it's just... Oh. There's a bit of fighting. I think Evan's trying to go on a move for Frankie here. 4 P6 here. So the Aston Martin going from last to, well, 7th now, because Evans passed him back for 6th. There's a Turbo. Well, I don't know what happened to him. He is currently just driving in his own little fantasy. And somehow I'm controller. I'm not actually stacking it. I'm going to stack it here now that I've said that. Yeah.
That's a decent start. Good job.
Decent
Right,
start. Yeah, I
let's
didn't
have you in at the end
crash.
of this lap, please.
Right. Yeah. We'll be able to resume commentary as when and I pull into the pit lane. Bit of a warning, never hurt anyone. Now, let's try and not cock up this pit lane entry. Nice and conservative. Don't smash into the pit wall. There we go. Now, I can retire and the commentary can begin. So Turbo will be coming in to serve his drivers. Now we can get back to the actual commentary. So, Turbo in to serve. Oh, that would have been... Oh, if I stayed an extra lap, I could have got PA, but oh well. Who cares? Back into the commentary sector. It is JJ from Red, from Danny, from Sam. So far, only one real swap for position, as the Ferrari and the McLaren swap positions, whilst Frankie capitalising on the 2 retired cars. So... the narrow streets proving the difficulty yet again, so DRS will probably be the answer for all the overtakes here. So, all bit deep for Red Fire Tiger there. So, could Danny capitalise and potentially get a better exit through here? It's Red Bull on Mercedes. It's 2021 all over again. He can't pull alongside for ascend into the final proper braking zone of this lap. As we wrap around to begin lap 3, as there's a yellow flag, and that is Evan round. It's gonna happen eventually, as it is the Alpine into the pit lane, and that is the Alpine with a 10-second time penalty, and that is the Alpine out of the race. Right, so there was 9, and within 3 laps there is 6. Oh dear. Congratulations, Frankie, you've made up another place. So far, I'm just gonna do some basic championship permutations. The gap between first and second goes up from 99 to 109, and the gap from first and third goes from 119 to 134. We're only 3 laps in. Why am I doing this? But so far, the top 4 in their own little field. The gap between 5th and 4th and 5th even, has gone up to 2 seconds. So it is the top 4, the 4 horsemen you might say, and then 5th and 6th, who, well, Jaden's on the hards, the only driver on hards, and then there's Frankie, who hasn't had the best of luck as of recent. Obviously didn't have the best of outings coming to join me in the commentary booth around the streets of Baku, and now he is trying to find a way past the orange wall here on the twisty streets of Marina Bay. I've probably said that phrase like 3 times now. Bit of a bounce over the curb, not an ideal line, and the gap just opens up, giving the McLaren in 3rd in the championship some breathing room. So and everyone, welcome back to just sitting staring at the car in front of you. Today we are in Singapore, and so far there's been only one real overtake, as that is Frankie, I assume, half spinning out of the final sequence of corners. Very PTSD giving, I'll tell you that, as another prominent driver in Tier 2 this time, a few seasons back, spun on the exit of the final few corners. I'm not going to name names. But back to this race, we are just over 1/6 of the race in, and so far it's not been very much to talk about really. Like, wait, that happens? Oh well. The gaps have once again started to open up. As to be fair, Jaden has started closing the gap to the car ahead, so maybe the pressure from having the Aston Martin up his gearbox has probably allowed him to push a bit faster. I mean, I don't think this is really much of a detail, but sometimes when Jaden right here, he's braking for like a harsh braking zone. If I'll give some examples, the hairpin before the Anderson, like, oh, not good, but you can see his throttle pedal gets a little bit stuck at like 5 to like maybe even 10% pressure sometimes when he's like in a decently hard braking zone. I'm not saying that's got a cause on his performance. He's been pulling off heroics sometimes this season, like the win at Silverstone, to name a few, so it's definitely not that, but yeah, it's happening again where he's falling away from the front pack, but he always does manage to recover in the very end. As well, the gaps at the front's already 2 seconds, so yeah, well, I'm not really meant to say here. I just sit in the cinematic camera for a bit, because until there's actually a fight going on, I generally don't know what to focus on. Bit of a slide there from Red Fire Tiger. Probably won't cause anything major. Let's just have a look at the permutations again whilst there's nothing going on. As it stands right now, the gap in the championship from first to third is 119 to 134. So after this race, we will be down to the final 2 in the title fight. This might be one of the earliest title clinches you may ever see in the history of this league. Obviously, I'm probably not too educated, but there's probably been closer. The gap in the constructors so far, I don't think there will be any movers. Actually, there will be a mover. We will have Mercedes leapfrog Ferrari as it stands, as they are on 108 to 170 points respectfully, and that's about it for position moves, I think. No, oh, we might actually have a fight here. Hold your horses. Fourth and fifth, very close together. The closest 2 so far. Will there be any potential overtake? We'll switch over to the trackside camera to potentially get a better view. A bit of a track extension for the McLaren. Here's good. We have opportunity for an overtake here. He can't pull alongside, so he will back out, but hopefully. I think the gap's going up. So we had a look at an overtake. We nearly got an overtake, but once again, it's niche as there's a bit of contact for Jaden with the wall. Gap behind 18 seconds. I think Frankie's accepted terms with his P6 finish. At the end of the day, it's another 8 points, you know, so it's not really. Bit more wall contact. Sammy Drake Lee, bit unstable. Oh, bit more unstable. Here we are. 60, both very close on battery, both 68% battery. Shift. I think we might, if anyone's doing a 2-stop, we might see some pit stops in the next coming laps. Although I don't think there will be, because I think this could be a very easy 1-stop for some drivers. Once again, the closest gap is between 4th and 5th. However, the gap between 2nd and 3rd has closed down as well. So you've got a little 2 mini pockets, although will any of these be overtake material? We can see Danny's front right tyre starting to get a bit of graining. Could this be an indication of tyre wear? But here we go, storming to the outside. Can't pull fully alongside, and he will try and settle for the switchback. We have 2 fights going on here. Danny trying to go around the outside, gets squeezed out, but he is able to complete the move. Bit of contact again, half spinning. So it is order restored. At the back, we had Pratt and Jaden overtake Sam. So we got blessed with 2 fights at the same time, but I was only able to focus on one, and I focused on the one of high priority. But now we have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th together again, as the guy first named on that list, Redfire Tiger, he will have a lot of fighting to do. No DRS, the gap is 3 seconds, so not even like the slipstream can help him. Another absolute barrage of an attack from the Red Bull sends him a bit deep, pulling along, trying to pull alongside, getting very close and personal through the exit of the corner. That might show the difference of grip between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. As to the inside here goes Danny, bit of contact, and that results in a half spin for the Red Bull, as he's now got the McLaren up his gearbox, as the gap has gone up another second in the last lap. We are seeing a bit of a tussle here, a bit of a violent tussle, you might say, as I have seen a few. Here we are down the inside for Danny, and I don't think he'll be, well, it's a Max Verstappen-esque move, and that causes Redfire Tiger to drop down to 4th place. Now it's the McLaren, bit more contact, argy-bargy, but that promotes Jaden into 3rd place. So just how it is in the standings, it is in the race, at least for the top 3. I couldn't tell you about the 4th and 5th, as the gap is now 5 seconds and we're over the third, just over under a third into the race. So, well, I guess that makes up for the opening 10 laps, where there was not many good overtakes. Well, there was overtake chances, but there weren't like any quality overtaking chances. No pit stops just yet for the top 5. Oh, bit of a half spin for Sam, caught just on the very edge of the skip. So he has fallen just under a second away from Redfire Tiger in 4th place. Will Frankie be pitting, or will he be staying out for another lap? It will be another lap, however, what, couldn't tell you. Overtake potential. Jaden to the inside. No challenge there from the Red Bull for now. Will he try and challenge into the next braking zone? Obviously, it's like a triple hairpin. Bit of a slide from Jaden in the McLaren there. But it is always the same story. He starts off poor and then he gets to grip. And now that grip has granted him 2nd position. Obviously, those hard tyres in their element now against some of the aging medium tyres on show here. As let's just do a quick reminder of tyres. Yeah, Jaden is the only one on the hard compound tyre. As Frankie's gap has gone up to 21 seconds. Yeah, I don't think he's really, like, yeah, he's accepted the fact he's going to get P6. He might have just gone to get himself some food. Can't blame the bloke, really. Only when the AI makes a mistake and slams into the pit wall, that'll probably be a mistake he can blame himself for. Is Simon Drakely falls out of DRS now, so it is a he also pits. So is it a 2-stop or is it a 1-stop for the Ferrari? A set of hard tyres on the red Scarlet car. As I'm just assessing. Look at some of the wear on the front. Obviously, you can even see the hard tyre on that McLaren getting a bit pasty. As it's almost as if I predicted that, you know. That was such an ironic prediction. As Frankie's into the pit lane. For a set of softs. Right. Something's not adding up. But anyway. Will the Samuel Drake Lee pit stop potentially cause others to pit and try and, well, basically attempt to avoid the undercut here? As I think Did the Aston Martin get a front wing replacement? No, so Frankie is currently running without his front right end plate. Will JJ be pitting, or will he stay out for another lap? It is another lap for the Williams. Another lap for the Red Bull. It's another lap for everyone, so everyone else thinks we can push these tyres further. As Red has fallen out of DRS from the second and third placed cars. As well as, this is our race league checkup on James here. I think he's doing fine. Lap times, he's still, well, to be fair, that was a personal best sector 1, so I think he's doing fine for his standards. God knows how he does it, but he just somehow does it. Wall contact for the McLaren. At this point, the race has gotten so boring, I'm commentating on a wall smash. A bit wide from the apex, from the bird's eye view camera. And Frankie's back into the pit lane. Will this be a wing replacement for the Emerald car? It will be, and it is a set of hard tyres bolted on. At this rate, he will be an lap behind. So, you know, he's pretty much cemented that 6th place finish on the card here. It becomes the first driver lapped in just under half race distance. So will he get the blue flags? Yes, he will. So second and third also lap the Aston Martin, as the Aston Martin, oh, there's yellow flags, I'm assuming that was for the blue flags. So yeah, Frankie now in 6th place. So that is pretty much locked in. Simon Drakely with the fastest lap, 1:30.19. So clearly gaining, I think, from looking just base, he's gained like 2, 4, maybe even 5 seconds over the past few laps. So the undercut has clearly worked, although the question is, when will first, third and fourth box? I feel like Jaden, well, he's the commentator for Tier 2, he saw a few drivers drive those tyres an absolute country mile, so he might be taking inspiration from people in the silver tier. But of course, this is a prestige. This is the prestige tier. This is Tier 1. So, will the Tier 2 strategies work when you're trying to stay in? Well, you're staying in an outside fight, really. Yes, you can still get second in the standings, but it's looking less and less likely by the week. As JJ stays out another lap. I'm very intrigued to know the state of those tyres, as everyone else is still staying out. So, oh, there we go, Frankie with 3 seconds of warning. So I'm assuming that was on entry to the Triple Apex final corner. I might, I don't think it's possible. If I check their streams, if any of them are streaming, I could potentially see like any sort of things. Right, Jaden, he's streaming. He's got no like symbol for tyre wear. That's something completely different. That's Karim. That's me. Red is the symbol on James's tyre. However, you know, I don't think it's affecting his driving. The gap is still decently high, as I'm just checking over on the street. So Frankie, well, obviously he boxed just, so he's just trying to survive the race. Samuel Drake Lee, no tyre warning, because obviously he did box. So I think that's everyone who could potentially be streaming. I'll just check his stream just to... It says change strategy on his MFD. I think he won't be changing said strategy. So it is another lap. So it's half race distance on those mediums, but Danny is the first of the front three to pull the trigger, and he is into the pit lane. He doesn't speed. It's good for him, but it's a ridiculously long pit lane here. Red Fire Tiger follows him in. I'm very interested to know what the state of that front right tyre must have been. It must have not been far off what it showed on JJ's MFD. It must be nearing its death. Obviously new to this game, obviously been around for a few months now. 80% is the new puncture threshold, as 4th and 5th exit the pit lane, obviously now on the fresh rubber. That was a quite aggressive cut from Danny, so I presume this might be his only pit stop of the race, because if he did that another time, he would be risking a 10-second time penalty to add to his race finishing time, which, you know, when you're fighting for something like P2, I think, let's be honest here, P1 in the standings is a bit of a long lost cause now, but the gap between first and second, to be fair, has dropped in the past few laps. It has gone from 5 seconds to 3.6, 3.5 now even. I think this might be the lap where we see the Williams in the pit lane. I'm just trying to see, is there any irregularities in those tyres? Yes, so it is. He has been called into the pit lane. The championship leader. Make sure he doesn't speed. He doesn't speed. So Jaden also in. So what's the game plan from him here? I genuinely thought he'd be able to stay out much longer, but no. Those tyres are getting replaced. So he's doing the alternate strategy here. Will he be able to get out before the Williams, or will the Williams? Oh, he's already ahead. So Samuel Drake Lee, after being quite far back, takes the lead of the Singaporean Grand Prix. So this undercut has worked. Danny, he is able to get into third, so he leapfrogs his nearest title rival. But now the question is, when, not if, JJ catches Sam. Obviously, 5-lap tyre difference, it may seem like massive at first, but then the tyres will eventually even out and we will get the proper championship order. Will Jaden be able to carve through the field on those medium tyres? Obviously, they'll be super grippy in comparison to the cars around him at the start, but eventually, when we get to the lap 27s and the lap 28s, those tyres will be screaming once again. We're back to having no gap, so what scares me is that Frankie can get lapped again, I think. Can he? I'm going to have to check. So Samuel Drake Lee, the current race leader, he is on lap 17. Frankie is on lap 7. I think he might have been unlapped in the process of everything, as Danny sets the fastest lap. But I think, yeah, I think it's still not going to change the race result. He will probably finish in 6th place, which, you know, 8 points probably isn't the worst place you want to be in a place like this. Just over half race distance, and I'm already bored once again. Could just, yeah, I'm just gonna check warnings because that's probably the best thing to do as of now. So Samuel Drake Lee already had 4, but I'm assuming one of them, yeah, one of them might have been the cutting pit lane thing. So one of them might have been collision as well. I've got 2 warnings myself because I'm so good. Obviously Frankie the only one with a time penalty so far. Red Fire Tiger, just 1 invalidated lap. Jaden, 1 warning on the previous lap. Danny, 1 warning. JJ, 2 warnings on the previous lap. Those might have been track limits, or you never know. But, oh, well, that's really crazy because he has just caught up, so we might be able to see a fight here. It's a three-way fight for the lead, technically. Top 3 cars separated by just over a second here. So it's fastest lap for Jaden, 1:31.3. So, you know, those mediums definitely doing him a solid around the streets. Oh, might have been a closer contact there. I don't think there's any damage because that would have been a bit too soft. But here we are now. We might need to look from the onboard of Samuel Drake Lee. To the right he looks to his right, and there is the Williams. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Samuel Drake Lee, and he loses the lead. He falls down to 3rd. In the space of just 10 seconds, he goes from leading to 3rd. Could say that's a bit of a case of a commentator's curse, or just the aura bubbling from that Williams car enough to unsettle the most historic Formula 1 racing car in history. But here we are now. Lap 19, and we might have just had the order decided without any real argument, as I might say. Battery situation wise, yeah, it's JJ with the most, you know. It is like he is in a league of his own, really. I think I haven't seen this much domination in the season, in league racing season, probably in a while. But could we see an overtake here? McLaren versus Ferrari. The Ferrari's making it difficult, but the McLaren makes it easy. But a bit of contact there. The McLaren gets pushed wide, and the Ferrari is back ahead, side by side, into the hairpins. As, will there be any challenge contest? No, the Ferrari backs out, so is Jaden. 3 laps in, and he is already into 3rd place, and he is going to chase down his closest tight championship rival. Could there be damage on that Ferrari? I genuinely can't tell. He's just like, he's dropped a bit more like struggle from this man right here. But I'm really surprised the gap ahead is already nearly a second. Christ almighty. Someone get this guy in PSGL. As Frankie gets another 3 seconds, and he half spins on the exit of turn 3. Oh well. He's probably just happy to be there. Everyone else is on lap 21 and he is on lap 20 still. Christ almighty. What am I meant to say? Like, there's nothing. All the drivers are separated, the track is narrow, the cars are too big. There's no real runoff to make proper mistakes. Obviously this is like probably the prime example of runoff, but it also doesn't help there's only 6 drivers. Like, they're always going to be incorporated in the same part of the track. Like, currently all 6 drivers are in sector 2, except one's on the previous lap and everyone else is just squabbling. Like, I guess we'll follow this because it's the closest thing we've got to a fight so far. It's Ferrari versus Mercedes. Samuel Drake Lee versus Red Fire Tiger. As I don't think there's a contest there. The Mercedes down the inside. And I think, unless all bit of side by side here, we could see, but no, the dirty side of the track has less grip. And it's a longer circumference, and therefore Red Fire Tiger is up into 4th place. So, I mean, if we go back to this statistic thing, Red Fire Tiger's dropped 2 positions. in his words, P2 in qualifying on a wheel track, not bad. And then Frankie obviously capitalising off of the free retirements. I reckon if I went downstairs to get myself something to drink and I came back, I would genuinely not miss a single thing. But I'm not going to do that anyway. Because knowing my luck, the second I close my door, all drivers are in the wall. It's already 8 PM. Yeah, I'm just going to check my Twitch stream. I doubt anyone's put anything outrageous in there. Nothing in the chat. Oh well. As Frankie's in the pit lane again. It's another set of hards for the Aston Martin, as he now is lapped by the entire field. In my honest opinion, Frankie should have retired 10 laps ago. You would have had the same result, no making a difference. Actually, let's fact check that. Would he have had the same result? Oh, he would have had the same result since lap 3. As he gets a 10-second penalty for crossing the white line. So that is 16 seconds for the Aston Martin. As well, like, I'm not sure really what to say. Like, he's gonna finish. Like, we're back to massive gaps again. Massive for the context of the circuit. Well, we're about 8 laps away from the finish. Bit of contact from the wall, with the wall by Jaden. I guess we could rehash championship standings. So JJ, he's on 99 now. The gap will increase by 7. So the gap will be 106. And then the gap from him to Jaden, it's already 119. It'll be 129. So as it stands, Jaden falls out of championship contention, as he will have 129 points to the championship lead with 125 points to go. This is probably one of the most dominated seasons in history. And if we go flash forward a week to Las Vegas, there will be 100 points left after that. So essentially, the title very much could be wrapped up in Las Vegas. Oh, crikey. Good thing I turned to him on time, because that would have been quite funny to not see. Oh well. It's not, it's like pissing on a pile of shit. It's worse, but it's not. Oh, and it's booted me out of a party. Right. We am back in and party, but you know. Is it another pit lane visit for the Aston Martin? It is. Is it retirement? Or is it another wing change? It is speeding, that's what it is. And is it retirement? It is. Would Mr. Frankie like an invite to commentate? Well, congratulations everyone who's still in, because you're guaranteed 10 points at least. Frankie's given up, so he's gone. He's just...
Yeah, he's using medium and overtake. Early panel for extra.
I like. I always try and be positive on like commentary and stuff, but like, you know, when there's 9 cars starting the race. Okay, one of them's retiring on lap 1. That's me. So, 8 cars. You know, you could expect some decent fighting. One of the cars retires alongside you, so okay, it's fine. There's still 7 cars. You know, we can still have a decent fight. One car retires the lap after. Okay, six drivers, probably 6 of the quickest guys, probably 6 of the most quick guys, unaccounting some people who aren't here. Okay, we can have a decent fight. One of them gets lapped. Okay, might not be his best track, not his fault. So we're back down to 5. The gaps are sparse. The track is too narrow. The cars are too fat. The game's undrivable. Samuel Drake Lee gets a penalty. That is not part of my rant. A bit of a half spin there for the Ferrari as 5 laps to go. Can anything happen? I want something to happen, but will it happen? Probably not, because if something was to happen, it would have to involve one of the drivers hitting the wall. And judging they've done 27 laps without doing that, I doubt they'll be able to not do it within the next 5 laps. I've just got one viewer. Is that one viewer just like... What are you doing? Whoever this one viewer is, if it's just my like streaming bot that I've just been unable to remove, then I'm just speaking to absolute. Nope. So I think it is just my bot, I think. Unless someone, you know, has put themselves through the torture of having to listen to me yap for around an hour. Could see the tyre situation just to see if we could see anything interesting happening. No. The tyres are around the same age. I think all drivers have been in the lead at one point, I think. Samuel Drake Lee with another half spin. Actually, I don't think that's true. I think the only 2 race leaders so far have been Samuel Drake Lee and JJ. I'm back. Bloody hell, it's cold. In the world of motorsport, this is literally a fictional racing game, so I can talk about virtual motorsport. Judging off reactions and everything, Dorian Pan, aka last year's F1 Academy champion, is, well, looking off the photo, I presume it's going to be her doing some development driving in the W11. But from the comments section, they're trying to make it out as if she's going to be driving FP1 in the next few races. So, you know, in the next few rounds, we could see a woman driving a Formula 1 car. Presumably, like, Canada, maybe. Or a track where, like, you know, it's not that hard to bin it, so Monaco's immediately off the table. Not that I'm, like, doubting her talent or anything, but I think you don't want to be driving a rookie around Monaco if you're trying to, you know, understand what I'm saying. Anyway, starting the penultimate lap of this absolute yap fest. Samuel Drigley, 18 seconds behind, so, you know, I don't think, well, ooh, you know what, actually, the gap's down to a second between first and second. So, could we see a switch between first and second? So currently the championship swing goes 106, but if the overtake gets completed, the swing can go down to 92, which I'd be interested to see a title championship fight, although I think the title has been wrapped up pretty much done and dusted now. But, you know, it's already been halved in the first sector, you know. Could we see a fight for the final lap as Samuel Drigley boxes for a set of softs? So I'm presuming he's going for fastest lap. As here we are. Yas Marina, lap 30 of 31. We are nearly there. We've survived 30 laps. Now, could we see a fight here on the final lap? This will be so reminiscent of the Carlos Sainz story of 2023. Obviously, the only non-Red Bull racing driver of that season. In about 5 kilometers, we will find out. I don't think it's even 5 kilometers. I think the circuit's like 4.5 or something to do. I don't know. Anyway, we start the final lap of the Singaporean Grand Prix here at Marina Bay. Not Yas Marina, that's a completely different part of the continent. Through the first sequence, 62% to 40% battery, 5/10 is the gap. 3 DRS straights to go between these two drivers. I don't know the tyre, a bit of a ball barge for the Red Bull. Was there any damage? I genuinely can't see, but you know, 1 sector done. JJ has 2 sectors before the title edges ever closer to him, and as it stands, he will be able to win the championship next week. However, anything can happen really. One of these drivers can clip the wall. This is one of the most prominent corners coming up next for the loss of the front right tyre. Will any of them succumb to pressure? No, they won't. So here we are, 2 more DRS straights and 2 more braking zones to determine this race. Danny has built up a battery here, but I think it might have been too little too late here. Well, we got what we asked. However, Now, will there be enough overspeed here for an overtake? No, there won't. So I think JJ has done enough. As Danny half spins out the final corner, so I wouldn't have done anything. So 99 points. The gap goes over 100. JJ wins for the God knows what time and is one step closer to clinching that title. But this time he did have to work for it. Second separates the top two. Jaden gets third, Red fourth, and Samuel Drake Lee, who is on a fastest lap attempt, will come home in 5th place. I just stick with this on board. So purple middle sector. So could we see a fastest lap here for Samuel Drake Lee on his return after like a 4-race hiatus? Through the final corner, is it a fastest lap for the Ferrari here? It is. There's no extra point, but welcome back to EXFL. Right, so that's your top 5 finishers. Fastest lap by just over 2 seconds. Just under 2 seconds for the Ferrari. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I've got so many things to say, but I can't say them. So I'm just going to turn this stream off. I've been your commentator. I'll be joining for the match point in the title race. The gap has gone up to 106 points, which means there is potential to clinch the title in Las Vegas. Will it be all or nothing for the Williams, or will the Red Bull be able to regain some ground? We will find out next week on the Twitch stream. I've been your commentator. I've been speaking to no one for the past 70 minutes.